Hi, Gregg Barnes here at Kinky Boots. We're down in the basement and we're going to show you some of the wardrobe for the show. The thing I love about Kinky Boots, and it's unusual, is that you get to deal with these two different polarities. You have a world of people that work in a factory, they're conservative, and then you have this world of drag queens that are from the city, they live in London, and in theory, they would never meet. I thought, well, drag queens, you think you know a lot about it, and then you realize, I don't really know anything about it. So I went to a couple of clubs, of course, and I got all the seasons that existed at the time of RuPaul's Drag Race. Thank you to all of those ladies and to RuPaul, and just sort of tried to immerse myself in it. I underestimated what they do. It's such an art form. You know, when you start the process, really the initial meetings and the initial energy, I always think that your time is best spent really just being the best listener you can be, trying to collect all the information, obviously from Harvey, who wrote the book, from Cindy, from her lyrics, and then from Jerry, who is really guiding us all to our ultimate, end. And so initially I just try to listen, and then I start to doodle and do my research, and then eventually it turns into a sketch. This is one of the angels in the finale, which is the runway show in Milan, showing off the boots. And Jerry had this great idea, it comes from him, that they all reflect things about the tradition of England. And so this is obviously based on a Beefeater, and you can see Eric Winterling, who made this costume, takes this sketch and then he translates it into the garment. The theme of this costume was the hunt, the English ride. And you can see here how the costume was realized then. Obviously it has a lot of jewels, and it has these buckles that we thought looked like a bridle. And then Jerry wanted a pair of boots that were sort of plain. Well, these aren't that plain, but they're different kinds of black patent leather, and they have all of these little tiny buckles at the front. The thing that's interesting about designing for the drag queens is that it's sort of about presenting this sort of false face, and yet underneath it they comment on gender roles and politics and celebrity. Oftentimes a drag queen will channel certain iconic celebrities, which we do in the show. Billy Porter, we have a dress that is literally almost an identical version of something that Whitney Houston wore in one of her concerts, an iconic dress. This is a shout out to Mary J. Blige. And this is when Lola comes to the factory for the very first time. And we wanted something that obviously was sassy, and but we have to believe that he's ridden up on the train and that he hasn't been, put in the insane asylum on the way up. It's a day-wear drag, not performance drag. This is Lola's costume in the finale. She arrives unexpectedly and takes the stage and takes the runway. And Jerry had seen a moment I think it was on American Idol, where Mariah Carey was on, and she stood up from the judges' table and she had on this diamond-encrusted little mini dress, and it wasn't red, and it was not this dress at all, but he said that's the impact that this moment needs to have. So we did it in red because that's the color that Lola is passionate about. And we actually sort of tried to work the beading pattern out, so that was sort of like, we knew that the boots were going to be crocodile patent, so we sort of worked a beading pattern into the dress that is like a crocodile. So it's big plates of jewels. We have to develop a shoe that you can do a slam split in, dance in 8 times a week, not be crippling. So we had to find the balance of how to make something that looked treacherous and sexy and dangerous and all of those things, but was also not literally going to put somebody in the hospital. What makes a boot kinky? I think it's a fantasy in a funny way. It can mean, for different people, a million different things. So it's a hard question to answer. So you have to come see Kinky Boots and decide if we did it kinky enough.